In this video, we're going to have a look at using products in CRM. So the first thing we're going to do over on the main menu, go into inventory, and you can see that we have three different views here for products. So products is every product in the system. Products I buy is, as the name suggests, only the ones that you purchase, and products I sell is the same thing, just ones that you sell. So how the system knows which area to put these products in will depend on the options that you have ticked on products. In fact, there's quite a lot that depends on the options that you have ticked on products once we get into it. So if we come into the product area and I click on new product here, how the system determines where products show is there's a purchasable box and there's a sellable box. So if the product is purchasable, that means that you can link it up to a supplier. You can basically put it on request for quote, purchase orders and supplier bills. If you don't have this box ticked, it's not going to appear in those places. So your purchasable products will all show in products and the products I buy. The sellable box then means that if that's ticked, the product will show in quotes, sales orders and invoices, and it will also show in products I sell. If you do not have that box ticked, you're not going to be able to add it to sales. So making sure that you've got the right options ticked is crucial. So depending on the option that you tick, so if I turn off purchasable, I no longer need a GL code for it. If I turn it back on, I have to go and select a GL code from my accounting system. The same for the sale. So we can basically break products down and quickly access all of the ones that we buy or sell by using these views. But today we're just going to work with the central repository of products in the system. So if we click again on new products, there's basically two parts to the screen. So down the side here, on the right hand side, are all of the different options that we can enable and disable on products and features that we can turn on. So first of all, we can add an image of a product. So I'm just going to grab the Torlemu logo and whack it in there as an example, so I can drag and drop, or I could click to select a file. So what you can do is pull through these images into your PDFs and also your web versions for sales and purchasing. So you've got a range of different templates for PDF and web that you can go and customize yourself so that those images pull through for customers or suppliers. You've also got this active box here. So what that means is if the product is active, we're going to be able to purchase it or sell it depending on which of these boxes are ticked or both of them. So, and another point to note is you can have something that's both purchasable and sellable in the system. So when you connect your accounting system, Xero or MyOb, what it's going to do is pull through everything that's in your accounting file. So for most people, that's going to include products that they no longer sell or that are inactive. So you can't delete these out of CRM because you also lose all the sales and purchasing history that goes with them, and it's linked to your accounting file. So what you can do instead is if there's products that you no longer buy or sell, you can basically go and mark them as inactive. You can also then turn off the purchasing and turn off the sell functions. So that means nobody can put this product on any purchasing or any sales. So we can't accidentally buy or sell a product that we haven't sold for 10 years. So we can basically then differentiate between our active and our inactive products. The next button here is Hide in Customer Portal. So if you're utilizing Customer Portal, which you can manage from admin and integrations, you can choose which products display there. So an example of how that works would be if you have manufactured products. So you have an end product and then you have all the materials that you're using to manufacture that end product. Chances are you only want the end product visible in Customer Portal for people to buy. You do not need all the ingredients or all the items you're using to manufacture that. So we could go and hide those so that they don't appear and the customer can only see the end product. We've already looked at the purchasable box and the sellable box. What you can also do is turn on serialization. So we've got a serialized box here, or batch tracking. So serial numbers are 1-to-1. So I'd have one coffee machine that has one serial number. With a batch, I can basically have multiple items as part of a batch number. So if I'm making brownies, I can have a batch of 50 and they're all associated with the one batch number. So what you can also do with a batch number that you can't do with a serial is have a batch expiry date. So you can turn on serialization or batch tracking, but not both of them at the same time. And also just a quick note, if you're playing around with your system, once you enable serialization or batch tracking or stock tracking on a product, you cannot disable that yourself. So you can see here that track stock button is grayed out and I can't change it. So if that's the case and you need to undo something, email us at help desk and we can do that in the back end for you. So just be wary of turning that on. So if we turn on the serialization or the batch tracking, what that means is that CRM is going to set up different checkpoints to make sure that it has the information that it needs. So when we sell a serialized product, before we can ship it or invoice it, CRM wants to know what the serial number is. The same for a batch track product. When we receipt a serial or a batch track product into stock, CRM will also want the batch or serial number. So that basically whenever stock is transferred, receipted, sold, etc., we need to give the system that batch or serial number information to make sure it's got everything that it needs. So what we can then do is go back through products and have a look at which serial number got sold to which customers were part of which batches, etc. And we've also got a batch report that you can run as well. So that's serialization and batch tracking, and we'll have a look at those a little bit later. What we've also got the capacity to do is automatically create an asset in the system when you sell a certain product to a customer. So if you're going to be using the operations area of CRM, so down here we've got jobs, assets, tickets, projects. So if you sell a product to a customer that you would maintain or service post-sale, then you'd want to have an asset for the customer. So that means that when I sell it, the customer now has an asset. I can set up a service schedule for that. I can have the customer log tickets if there's issues with that particular asset, and I can use jobs to send people out on site to resolve issues or to service assets. So automatically creating an asset for a customer when something is sold just eases the admin burden, because no one needs to remember to do it, and no one needs to go and plug in that manual data to get that record kicked off in the system. We can also differentiate between physical and intangible stock inside of the system. So something physical would be exactly like a coffee machine or brownies. Something that wasn't physical but is still a product that we'd sell would be something like a warranty. So you can't touch it, we don't need to ship it, but it's definitely a product that has a cost to it. So we can differentiate between physical and not physical. Now also with this track stock button. So this basically means that CRM is going to be keeping an eye on the stock levels for that particular product at all times. If you do not have that box ticked, the product's not going to show up in a number of different places. So if you don't have that ticked, you're not going to be able to put that product on a stock take. You're not going to see that product on the stocks tab, etc. So you need to have that box ticked, and then anytime you buy, sell, transfer, modify, adjust, stock take that particular product, CRM is taking note of all those ups and downs in the level. And what we're then doing is communicating that information over to MyOb or Xero on a regular basis, so that everything that's happening inside of CRM is then translating through to our accounting system. So if we choose to enable the track stocking, what we then need to give the system is an asset GL code. So all of your GL codes are going to pull over once you've connected your accounting system. So if you're not seeing anything here, it's because you haven't connected it and they haven't come across yet. So we can select that. We can also set up different types of products. So we can have training products, configurable products, virtual products, as well as variable products. We can also mark out which products we manufacture. So again, this is an important point because we need to tell CRM which are the products that we make and which are the products that we purchase from a supplier. So if it's something that you produce yourself, we definitely want to tick this I make this product box. So I'll just deselect training for that. And I'll also deselect serialization. So once I tick I make this product, I can now use this product in the manufacturing area of the system. So bills and materials and work orders. If you don't have that ticked, you're not going to be able to tell the system that you need to make it because the system doesn't know it's a manufactured product. So definitely make sure that you've got that turned on so that you can use the product as intended in that manufacturing area of the system. So with configurable products, what we can do, I'll show you an example later, is basically build a product. So we can say, okay, this product comes with several different options and colors and sizes and optional add-ons. So you can let the customer choose and say, I want this color, I want this size, I want this add-on, I don't want that one, so that you can basically build an end product and build that price as you go. So training products relate to the training area over on the main menu here, where you can basically have courses that people can book into online and you can record accreditations and things like that. So if you've come to a CRM training webinar or a sales webinar before, that's exactly what we're using in the system to get you to book into those courses. So once you've made your decisions here, that's going to impact on different areas of the system as we've seen. So making sure that you've got the right boxes ticked for the right purpose and how you intend to use that product is really important. The boxes that we tick here will also determine what the product looks like once it's saved. So depending on the options that we've enabled or disabled, we're going to have different tabs available on the product to go with the different options that we've selected. So that's the right hand side, and we've got a full written guide on this as well that you can refer to in your own time if you'd like. So now let's get to the main body here. So when we put a product into the system, we have two separate sets of information for it. Information for when we sell it and information for when we buy it. So you can see here we can add a name into the system. So I'm just going to pop this in as a test product. And then you've got either MYOB or Xero name in here, depending which accounting system you're linked to. Now, just note that CRM has a longer character limit in the name than the accounting systems do. So sometimes you might get an error saying, I can't sync this product across to Xero or MYOB because the name is too long. So what you need to do is adjust the accounting name for that product, and the CRM name can basically be longer than that, so you can leave that as is. So it's just the name going over to the accounting system. Underneath, this is a really important field, is type. So once I click here, I've got different styles or types of products that I can set up in the system that all behave slightly differently. So it's the same as these options on the side. What we choose here is going to enable further options and disable further things on the product and affect how it behaves and how it can be used across the system. So an item is basically something we sell. So it could be a coffee machine, it could be a warranty, it could be brownies. We can also sell time. So when we do that, we can select a period of time. So is that measured in hours, days, weeks, months, quarters, years, etc.? So we can go and pick something and say, okay, we'll be charged this in 1 hour blocks. We can then specify what that time is used for. So it could be labour for installation or servicing, it could be travel time to appointments. So we can basically put that into the system so that we can then go and add a time product to our sales so that we can charge somebody for, maybe we went out to site for an hour and a half, the system would calculate how much an hour costs, do that calculation and pop out that number for us. So we can add time products into the system. So if you're going to be doing servicing and using jobs and assets, it's definitely a good idea to have time set up in the system. You can also create time products so that you can use them in your manufacturing process. So when it comes to your work orders, as well as factoring in the cost of all the materials that you're using to produce your output product, we can also factor labour in for that and say, right, we spent several hours on labour, so that bundles together with the cost of the materials to form the cost price for that product. So that's time. We've also got service products that you can set up. So again, if you're going to be using jobs and assets in the operations area, you're definitely going to want to have services in the system. So the best analogy is if you take your car for a service. So they might say that a service goes for 6 hours, and depending on the type of service, be it 10,000K, 1,000K, 100,000, there'll be different parts associated with that service. So different amounts of oil, spark plugs, air filters, all sorts of different pieces, tires, wipers, washers, etc. So all of those little bits and pieces. So what you can do is go and set up a service product in the system and say, right, this is what it costs and these are all the parts associated with it. So that means when you go out to perform on-site servicing with jobs in the operations area, you can basically just add a service product. So that's going to add up your cost price plus the cost of all those pieces that you're taking out to site. And you could also have labour as a time item that you could add onto a job as well so that you can charge that. So services you can go and set up. Once you've set up a service, you can also go and set up service report templates. So that basically means once you've applied a service to a job, you've gone out on site and done your work, you can spit out a nice PDF record of what's happened. So same way when you pick your car up, they give you a couple of pages saying, we checked this, we changed this, that looked a bit dodgy. come and see us in another 12 months. So you can do the same thing by configuring your own templates to capture your on-site process. We also have subscription type products. So this is basically where there's regular invoicing for customers. So if you're a Toolemu customer, you've either got a monthly or an annual subscription with us. You sit in our system as a subscription record. So we've got all your dates, when you started, how many users you've got, what your renewal date is, etc. So that basically when your renewal date comes up, we can automatically send you out an invoice and say, right, this is your renewal, off we go. So this is good if you're charging customers monthly, weekly, yearly, half yearly, quarterly, you name it. You can go and set up those subscriptions so that they can roll over. You can adjust periods and dates, and you can basically have invoicing linked to that and also auto payments. So when you create a subscription, you can say whether or not that's on a contract, what is the period of the contract, what's the time basis that we're charging on, and also we can add time to this particular subscription as well. So you'll see that depending on the type of item that we select here, we get different fields through the main body of the form. So there's no sort of like one size fits all. So once we've selected our type, we can also pop in a part number. So this is what's going to show up when we sell the product. So this is on quotes, orders, and invoices. We can also have an alternate part number in the system. And with purchase name here, so this main product name is what shows on sales, so quotes, orders, invoices. This purchase name is what's going to show on request for quote, purchase orders, and supplier bills. So we've basically got two different labels that we can use for the product depending on whether we're buying or we're selling it. We can also go and break our products into groups and different categories in the system. Now what you can do is go and customize some of this yourself. So if we come into the admin area here and come down to my favorite area called settings, scroll down and we've got this area here for product settings. So what you'll see are a range of different drop-down lists on a product that we can go and customize in the system. So this is good because you can basically get your terminology, your process, your needs in here so that it's going to make segmenting and slicing and dicing your products in future really, really simple. So we can have different groups, different measurement categories, different product features, etc. But what's really useful is this area called product categories here. So you can go and break up your products as well as being inactive, active, stock track, backtracked, like serialized, all of those different options that we can have on products. We can also add categories so that we can basically group things together as well as using the group field. Now, why categories is really useful is that when it comes time to looking at dashboards, so if I hop into the invoices area here and I'm already into my dashboard here, what I can see is all of the invoices broken down by the product category that I sold on the invoices. So I've got a nice little snapshot here. These are all my categories and this is what I've sold. So I can click on, let's have a look, tools and machinery, and the rest of the dashboard will go and adjust to provide information about tools and machinery. So product category is going to pull through to this dashboard area and to reporting areas and make it really easy to see what type of product you're selling the most of, where you're selling it to, etc. So that can be really useful. So you can basically come through and populate that list and then go and select that on your products. So you can see I've got the groups I can pick from, I've got the categories I can select from. When it comes to this manufacturer field, that is different to suppliers. So you won't see the supplier area until you've actually saved and closed the product. So just to let you know that manufacturers and suppliers are two different things because you might have one manufacturer of the product and then multiple different suppliers or distributors. So you don't have to put something in here, but you can if you want to, and you can basically go and look up an existing supplier and say, right, they're the manufacturer. You can then add in the manufacturer's part number so that you've got it there for reference. Coming down a little bit further, too far, we've got the unit sell price. So this is your standard sell price in the system. What you can do is configure pricing a number of different ways for purchases and sales. So when we're selling things to customers, we can have different levels of prices. We can have dates on prices so that they expire. We can have quantity discounts. We can have special pricing for customers. So all of that is available once we've saved and closed a product, but this is just your basic sell price for that particular product. So if no other special pricing or pricing arrangement applies, this is what will pull through to your sales. We've also got the tax rate here that we can pull through, so that pulls through to our sales. And in here, we've also got the purchase tax rate next to the cost price. So the unit sell price and tax rate goes onto your sales. The purchase tax rate and cost price will go onto your purchasing. So again, we can have different prices for different suppliers, for different quantities. This is just your standard price across the board. So landed cost and average landed cost, so that will pull through from the purchasing that you're doing in CRM, and that will populate back into this record automatically. So that's not something you can manually input. So you should go and watch the video on the purchasing process, or refer to the written help on managing landed costs in CRM for more information. We can also set up variable products. So we can basically have one product that is sold in a couple of different forms. So for example, I could have a bottle of Jim Beam, and that's my standard product. That then comes in 3 variations, 250 mils, 500 mils, and then a litre. So basically, the standard product is my parent, and then I've got 3 different children that are different sizes. So they're all a variation, they're all the same product, they just vary in size. So what we can do is say that one product is a child or a parent of another product. So at the moment, this delivery method is basically just for internal tracking purposes. And we've also recently enabled Insta-Buy web forms that I'll show you on a saved product. So again, going with the theme of there being 2 sets of information for products. So this description here goes into sales, so quotes, orders, invoices. The purchase description goes into request for quotes, purchase orders, and supplier bills. So you can see how making the right choices here is going to influence different areas of the system so that products behave differently. So if we look at some existing products in the system and have a look at what they look like. So once you've saved a product, depending on the options that you've ticked, as I said before, we'll have different tabs across here. So this one that I've got is a manufactured product. So I'm making this as I go. So in here, I have a link to a work order and a bill of material, because the system knows that I need to work with these in order to manufacture this particular product. What I can also do for manufactured products is go and set a default bill of material. So once I've set up my BOMs in the system, I can go, right, most of the time, this is the BOM that we'll use for production. Now, there are plenty of chances to go, I'd like to use another one if you've got more than one available, but you can basically specify a default in here. Now, because I manufacture this product, I've got a tab here for bills of material that I wouldn't have on any other type of product. So let's have a look at the things that are consistent between products. So we can have a picture in the system. We can go and attach documents, price lists, specifications, drawings, etc. We've got our timeline as we do on all sorts of other areas in the system. We can go and add some notes and things in here. We've also got this price breaks tab. So this is where I was saying before, this is for sale purposes. So quotes, orders, and invoices. So there's a number of different ways that you can set pricing in your system based on quantities, based on dollars, percentages. We can also have special prices for customers. So just to let you know that that lives there. And now that we've saved the product, we can now see the suppliers tab. So provided that the purchasable box is ticked. If the product is not purchasable, there's no point showing you suppliers tab. So what we can do here is have multiple suppliers for each product in the system. So what I can do is go and select a supplier and say that this is the supplier, this is their particular part number. So anytime I do a purchase order for this supplier, all this information here is going to pull through. So often the supplier part number is different to the customer facing one. So I can also select a main supplier. If I have multiple ones, I can go and put in that supplier's particular pricing, which might be different to other ones. I can go and specify the currency that I buy that in, the tax rate, what they call the product, pack sizes, what their minimum orders are, and also the description to carry over to the purchase order. So we can be detailed about this for each supplier and basically add those into the system so that when we go to purchase this, we've got a couple of different suppliers that we can buy from. If we purchase a product, we can also set up supplier pricing. So the same way that we can have pricing for our customers, suppliers have different pricing for you. So if I now click on that supplier that I just made a second ago, we can say, okay, if I buy more than 50 of this product, maybe the cost goes down to $10. or maybe they've got a sale on that runs between these dates. So I can add different prices in here to account for quantities, different dates, specials, etc., and have that populate through to my purchase orders. So depending on what the options are on products, you'll have different tabs here. So on most products, if it's a stock tracked item, you'll have this tab called stocks. So what this does is shows you the stock position at all your locations in one spot. So what you have in stock, what's on back order, what's committed to sales orders, what's incoming on purchase orders, what's available, what's been shipped, what hasn't, etc. So what we can also do at each location, and if you've only got one, that's fine, we can click on a location and go and set a minimum required stock level and a maximum stock level as well. So that's going to be useful when you're working with the stocks area and the back orders area. So there's a separate video on that so that you can basically go and pull up all of your stock that is below the minimum or reorder things back up to the maximum again. The stock movements tab is quite handy. So again, if you've got a stock tracked item, this is where all of your movements are going to go. So when you build a product, when you buy a product, when you sell a product, when you transfer a product, all of those entries are going to be in here. So you can see I've got sales, I've got bills, I've got I've got transfers between different locations. So we can basically see the entire history of what's happened to this product from here. So clicking on this little blue arrow over on the end, we can also access more tabs about the product. So if it's a sellable product or a purchasable product, you're going to have different tabs here. So this is a sellable product that I manufacture. So I can see all the times that it's been quoted, it's sold, it's invoiced. I can also see the times that it's been purchased. I can go and add images to it. So I can basically go and drill into the detail for the product. So if we go and have a look at a couple of different types of products, so that was just a standard item. What we've got is a mixer. Let me bring up my mixer example. So I've got a stand mixer here. So I've got a lovely product image. I've got all of my information here. So let's have a look at some of the really cool features that we have on all products. So if I've got somebody who wants to buy this mixer, I can basically generate a link and I can copy that, I can SMS that to them, I can email that to them, I can embed that in my website, I can put it in an email, whatever I want. I can also generate a QR code. So somebody can scan that, they can basically hop online, buy that, have their payment details come straight through to CRM if you've got a payment gateway connected, and it's all done. So that's a really handy new feature that we've got. So this particular product is a configurable product. So this is kind of like a choose your own adventure product. So what I've done is I've told the system that it's configurable. And so when I do that, I get a couple of extra tabs here. So I've got an optional groups tab and an optional products tab. Now, optional groups are basically what are the features or attributes or options on this product that we want to have as high-level groups. So in this case, when I sell the mixer, you can choose from different sizes and you can choose from different add-on packs. Now, when we put these into the system, we can specify, do they need to make a selection? Is something optional? How many can they choose? So out of, 5 colors, they could probably only choose one. Out of several sizes, they can only choose one. But if it's optional add-ons, maybe they could choose 2 of 3, etc. So we can basically go and set the parameters for that choice here. And again, so in here, we've got add-ons and they can pick a maximum of 2, but they don't have to pick any if they don't want to. So those are our groups. Underneath that, we have the different products that make up the different size options and the different add-on options. So all of these are products in their own right with their own SKUs. So once we've linked all of this information together, if I now go and put that mixer on a sales order, so I'll jump in here, we'll hop into sales orders, go new order, and we shall build a mixer together. So I can go and pick my company in here. I'll scroll down a little bit further and I'm going to go and pick my mixer. So once I've done that, the system goes, aha, this is a configurable product. So what I've then got is a size group and an add-ons group. So those are the optional groups we were looking at earlier. So I can expand this and see what my options are. So I can go, okay, do I want the standard size or do I want the large one? Let's go large. So I can tick that box and select that. I can then move down and go, okay, these are my add-on options. And you know what? I'm going to take 2 of them. So it's telling me I don't have to select any, the maximum I can select is 2. So what the system's done is bundled that price together for me. So it's built the price based on those options in the system. So that's a configurable product. What we'll have a look at now is a serialized product and a batch tracked product. So I should have in here, no, I don't. Let's see if I've got a coffee machine that I can show you. That one should be a coffee machine. All right, so I've set up a coffee machine in my system as a serialized product so that you can see here when I sell it, the system's going to want a serial number. So I won't be able to invoice this or ship it till I've given the system a serial number to go with it. I think a little bit further down, let's just edit this order and go and add a batch tracked product to it so we can see what that looks like. But you can see here, this coffee machine is also set to automatically make an asset for the customer as well. So I've got that auto create asset when box sold ticked, as well as the serialized box as well. So those are my options. If we come down here and I add some almonds in, which are a batch track product, you can see the system's doing the same thing, going, aha. So if I want to sell 3 of those, I'd have to click here and go and pick from some existing batch or serial numbers for those products. So the system will enforce that at various points. So if I'm using batch or serial track stock in my manufacturing process, I can't start a work order till I give the system the information, etc. Can't sell it, can't invoice it, can't ship it, can't receipt it into stock until that information has been filled in. So all of those products will behave slightly differently. So if we go and look at a time product as well, so I've got labor set up here. So this one has been set up as a time product in the system. So obviously I don't have stock of it. I probably shouldn't have the physical box ticked, so that's just me. So down here, you can see I've got far less tabs because I don't have stock tracking. So there's no stock adjustments. I'm not serialized, I'm not batch tracking. So it's fairly streamlined. And there's also no supplier tabs for this, etc. So I can access images, which you probably don't want images of labor, but you can have those if you want. So basically we've got a pared down version of a product in here. So basically depending on the type of product that you have, you're going to have different options in it. Now with products in your system, so this is my test system and I've got 39 products in it. In your live system, you're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of different products in the system. So the challenge then becomes, how do we break that down into usable chunks? So the system will give you 3 different views. So all of the products, just the ones you purchase, just the ones you sell. So we can switch between those as we want to. But we're also going to want to segment between active and inactive products. Show me all of my manufactured products. Show me all the serial products. Show me all the batch products. So where that comes in is filters and layouts. So in here, I've got a filter, just show me the products that I make, and I've got 6 of them. Let's go and have a look at all of my products that are active, so weed out the inactive ones. There we go. Let's go and have a look at all the kitchen appliance products that I've got with that particular category, so you can see how I'm using that category in another way. So we can have multiple different filters in here. So I've also got show me stocks that are under a minimum level. So below that, so multiple different filters to slice and dice that information. And we also want different layouts as well. So basically think about what it is that you need to see in CRM each day or on a regular basis, and then make sure you've got a layout and a filter to go and match it. So what we can also do is go and export products up in the top right hand corner here. So if we want to throw everything into an Excel spreadsheet, we can do that. You can import products into the system. So if they're not in your accounting system or you don't have an accounting system, you can download the import template, populate your data, and then import that into the system. Now, just note with products at the moment, you can't export data, clean it up in Excel, and then re-import it into the system. So we're changing that in future, but at the moment, the system will go, sorry, that part number already exists, and it won't let you import it. So over on the right hand side here, we've got some other options. So if I've got multiple products, but they're actually the same thing, it's an admin error, I can go and merge them into one record. I can go and select some products, and depending on whether I purchase them or manufacture them, I can kick off a work order or a purchase order. I can also go and update multiple fields on products at once. So this is so useful. So select your products here, click on the update button. This then gives you a range of different fields on the product that you can update in bulk. So for example, if I've got a whole heap of products that I'm going to sell in New Zealand dollars, I can go and update them all at once instead of having to go in and out of each product. So basically, have a look at the fields available, select them, go and make your new selection and update them in bulk. We can also add tags to products as well. So tags are all over CRM. So when you open a record, up the top here, we've got a range of different tags that we can add to the system. So you can customize these tags and you can basically now color code them by clicking on the little dots here. We can rename them, we can add multiple tags, and it can be quite festive. So I'll say that this product likes dogs. So we can add those up the top here per product, or we can do the same thing and go and grab a couple of products in the system and then go and hit the add tag button and say that all of these are related somehow to a coffee machine, and it doesn't need to make sense because it's my database. So there's a fair bit that we can do from here. I'll just touch briefly on down here. Your stocks tab will show you everything that's a stock tracked item. So this is basically your window into all of your stock across all of your locations everywhere in CRM. We've also got the back orders tab that will show you all of your, literally everything on back order from a sales order. We've also got some stock information there. So with products, it's really important to make sure that you've set up the right options and things, because at the end of the day, if a product isn't doing what you want to, it's always because a box hasn't been ticked or a box has been ticked.